Well, fantastic. Today is another great day on That's Classic. I always like to say that, but it's true. Today I have someone on that is just awesome to have on. It's just that easy. She starred in Alfred Hitchcock's film The Birds. She was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. She played Lambert in Alien. She was in The Right Stuff, Witches of Eastwick. She's been on ER, The X-Files. I mean, she's done a ton. So I want to welcome Veronica Cartwright. So welcome, Veronica.
Thank you. Hi, welcome. Oh, I should say thank you for having me on, not welcome to you.
That sounds good to me either way, no problem. So, yeah, I guess just to get started, I guess why don't we take a look at I know, by the way, isn't it like we just are passing the 45th anniversary of is it Alien?
Yeah, I think so. Isn't that
Yeah.
scary? Yeah, and they re-released it when the Romulus came out, and they did a re-release of what were we, 1979.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's hard. That's
yeah,
a hard one
it's
for me to
really
wrap.
insane. But that was a movie that was done without any special effects. I mean, there was no CGI. I mean, everything was practical. I mean, it was unbelievable. You can't do that these days. It'd be too expensive.
Well, I heard that, I did a lot of research on you and I did a lot of research on the different films. And one thing that I noticed about Alien is the sets themselves were like you said that they took over Shepperton Studios and
Yeah,
just these were massive sets.
massive, massive. I mean, that space jockey was actually built. I mean, we were crawling all over that space jockey and we looked so tiny. Everything was massive. That there was one house sound stage that was nothing but sand and those sort of caves that, looked like vaginas, those that we
Right.
walked through. And then ship itself, part of the ship was in this one particular sound stage. And then there was another sound stage that was just the ship, all the corridors, and everything was connected. I mean, you had to go through the engine room to get to the lunchroom, to get to the hospital, I
Wow.
mean, in corridors, everything was connected. So it gave a real sense of claustrophobia, phobia, because we were all claustrophobic. Um,
Oh yeah.
I mean, it worked for the movie. It was fantastic. So yeah, there were sound stages for each of these things, and we just took over the Shepperton.
So
Um,
what's I know you've done this in other interviews and I'm sure it's like, oh, here we go. We got to repeat that one again. But what is the truth once again behind the as I call it, the chest bursting scene? I mean, you're the one that seems to get the most notoriety for that of like natural reaction. What is the truth? What happened there?
Well, of course, we'd read the script so that we knew something was going to go on.
Sure.
And actually, Sigourney and I got to go down to the puppet room to see Beast, the little penis guy, before he was actually fleshed out because we had a scene and we didn't even know what we were talking about.
Oh
They
wow.
took us down, and these guys were so funny. The puppet, oh my gosh, just you wait, it'll be breathing. And then it's going to have these things that go in and out of it. And it was like hysterical. And here we are looking at this sort of gray thing.
Was
We knew
it seen
how
it?
to do the next scene. So then the day of the actual event, they had us up in the dressing room for hours. We were up there hours. And John was being packed with a fake chest, and there were buckets of offal around. I mean, oh my God, the stench was unbelievable. They had just gone down to the butcher and gotten, intestines and entrails and all these
Oh,
different things. And they stuffed John with it. Plus, they had buckets of it and formaldehyde around. I mean, I gagged when I walked onto the set. It was all dressed in plastic, and everybody was wearing rain gear.
oh.
So you go, what is going on here? And it was so fascinating. They had four cameras, so everybody's reaction was actually the reaction. And what you saw was our first take. I mean, they started a take, and of course, we became so fascinated, but I guess the puppet wood isn't going to come through at that point. So he shouts, cut. And of course we go, oh dear, what's going on? And they came and they cut John's chest a little bit more and so that it would be able to get through. And I was so fascinated by the whole thing. I leaned right into a blood jet.
Oh, geez.
And I didn't even know there were blood jets. I just leaned right. I was just so fascinated by watching this thing starting to come out of his chest. I mean, so when it hit me, I went, oh my God. And then I backed up. My knees hit the banquette and I flipped up backwards. And there were two cowboy boots sticking up. It was ridiculous. So I thought, oh my gosh, they're still filming. I rolled over, I ran back in. And I just saw it the other night because Tom Skerritt and I did a benefit up in um, Bell, oh God, Bellingham
Oh,
for
Washington?
a theater in Washington,
Yeah.
a theater, the Mary Pickford Theater, and they're making three more theaters there. So we
Wow.
had a fundraiser. So they showed Alien, and it's like at one point I see myself just disappear where I get, and then all of a sudden I come back in, and there I am.
That is
I thought,
hysterical.
oh my gosh. But they let us go and see the actual chest burster because it was fantastic. It was really amazing. I mean, you have a guy on a trolley underneath, with poor, I don't know where John was sitting because he must have been sitting there for hours for that chest.
Wow.
And then of course he's rolling around and oh my God, it was intense.
And he had intestine, like
Oh
cow
yes, he had,
intestines and
yes,
stuff
it was so
stuffed into him.
disgusting.
He
The
must have
smell.
wanted to just heave. I mean, come on.
Well, it was good for the character.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was awful. It was just awful. And then you see things coming out, as it goes through and the blood. I mean, it was fantastic. It was unbelievable. And it was all
it is.
practical.
It still scares the hell out of me, to be quite honest with you. But before we go on with the interview, I just wanted to remind you to please subscribe to That's Classic if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you'll know when my next episode is being released. Okay, let's go on with the interview.
I love when it runs down the table. And that was just to the table, they cut a big slat in it. And so that there was, and then the guy was on some sort of a cart and, and like this. And then he just gets pulled from so that the thing would run through. It was like all of these very simple things that just worked and made it look amazing.
It did. I mean, I'm serious. Oh my gosh, that I just gives me the chills, that scene. What now the other thing I had read is that you were actually the original you had Sigourney Weaver's role originally,
Well,
and then
that's
that
what I
shifted.
thought.
Yeah.
That's the only part I ever auditioned for. I auditioned in Los Angeles and I auditioned in London. I was going over there to do a visit and visit my gran and stuff. And I said, if that part hasn't been cast, could I go and read for it again? So I went, and of course, I read for Ripley. And
Hmm.
then I find out that I get it. And so I go over, and then they call me and say, are you ready to come and get your wardrobe for Lambert? And I said, no, I'm Ripley.
Hmm.
No, no, you're not. I said, well, this is weird. I haven't even read the script from the point of view of that character. And plus, she seems like she cries a lot. So I called up the producers and I said, I thought that I was Ripley. I even called my agent in LA and said, aren't I Ripley? And he goes, yes. So,
Wow.
I mean, it was like the weirdest thing. So all of a sudden, I'm doing Lambert. Sorry.
It's okay.
Um, so it was kind of surprising. I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, I can understand that. So when you did get Lambert, then were you like, okay, I'm all right with this. It's great. It's an acting job, or were you at first, surprised that why do you want me for this character?
Well, I mean, what was I going to do? Obviously, Sigourney had gotten it. None of us had met Sigourney. None of us knew about Sigourney.
Hmm.
Um, I reread the script and I thought, well, how can I make this so that she's stronger than the way it's written? And I think like in the director's cut, they have me slapping her across the face and things like that. And if you think about it, I'm the only one that says, let's get off of this ship.
Yeah.
If we have to draw straws, let's get off of here. And nobody listens to me. It's very frustrating. But I don't know. I mean, I tried to make her stronger than what appeared on those pages.
So you did have some say in the character then.
Well, yeah, in a sense. I mean, Ridley hired us for because he knew we were all really good what we
Hmm.
did. Because Ridley didn't give very much direction. I
Hmm.
mean, his directions were, kind of strange. Um, so you sort of had to create your character with the other characters, which
Yeah.
I thought worked really well. And I mean, everybody played off of each other. I mean, Yaphet Kotto does quite a bit of improv.
Hmm.
Uh, but that was fine because it made us seem like we all had a rapport. We were
Yeah.
told we were truckers in space.
Hmm.
And so, which by the end of the thing, you felt like a trucker in space. I mean, they spray you down with glycerin and every bit of dust and dirt in the world would just stick to you. And every scene had smoke in it. I mean, every scene. And it
Wow.
was all, this beeswax in those days, which wasn't very good for your lungs, of course, but we stuck with it. I mean, now
Yeah.
they banned it, but it was everywhere. As a matter of fact, when we started, sorry, I have this cough.
All right. Maybe it's from the beeswax. Who knows? Yeah.
Um, I hope not.
I hope not either. I'm
I'm so
kidding you.
sorry.
Yeah.
Um, they had John Finch was originally playing John Hurt's part,
Mm.
but John had just gotten out of the hospital with pneumonia.
Oh, geez.
And by the end of the day, because we started with the engine room, we started right at the very beginning. And you know how much smoke, you see the smoke in it, as
Yeah.
it things are supposed to be popping and everything. And by the end of the day, John was gone back in the hospital.
Oh,
And the next
no.
day, John Hurt showed up. And I looked at John Hurt and I thought, oh my God, because they'd already cut all my hair off. I looked
Yeah.
like a clone of John. I mean, we had the same skin color, we had freckles, we had, this crew cut. I
I
mean, it was
kind of
like,
think I never thought about it, but I can kind of see it now.
but we
Yeah.
do. We look like clones of each other. So anyway, but John, oh, what a character. He was just fabulous.
Yeah, what was John Hurt like offset? I mean, I've honestly I've always found him, top of the list. The guy's a
Oh,
great
he
actor.
was just great. I would go to the pubs with him. I mean, it was hysterical. I mean, and he was just a great guy. He really was. We had a lot of fun together. And
It
when he was here, just shortly before he died, he did Craps Last Tapes here. So I went and saw him do that, and it was nice to see him. It had been a long time. So, coming over to America, and then of course he died about 3 months later. So we
yeah,
worked all the way to the very end.
that's nice that you saw him before then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is
that is.
really
Was
nice.
he because I think of the intensity of that movie, Offset, was it more of a light, were people like, playing pranks on each other or that kind of stuff, or was it
No,
more
we all
like
we all had our separate houses.
Mhm.
At that time, I had a wonderful house on in Battersea. And at that point, Battersea was not what Battersea is today. It was almost like I was on the wrong side of the river.
Wow.
Oh, there. But I found this house with a real estate person that was owned by an honorable. Her father was a lord in Parliament, and she had this house. This house had a washer and dryer and a huge big shower. And I mean, it had all the amenities. I mean, it was just fantastic. And so I met her and I thought she was really great. And she could see I had a picture of my horse there. And she says to me, oh, you ride? I said, yes. And she says, oh, you must go on a hunt with us. Well, I'll be damned if she didn't call me just before I left and have me go on a hunt with the Galway Blazers, which
Wow.
on Houston's group. And so I mean, it was fantastic. I had a great experience. But none of us really hung out. I mean, I went with Ian to his house with his lady at the time, and I don't know. He was a lovely man. I just really miss these people.
Sure.
But off the set, we didn't really hang out. I'm sorry, I'm going to cough again. That was
That's
terrible.
totally fine. If no problem at all.
It's awful. I didn't do it last week because I had to go up to Seattle, but I also had a huge black eye. I
Yeah,
came
I
back
heard.
from Las Vegas, and I think I thought I was still in Vegas because I turned to an opposite way that my bathroom is and fell over my chest that I have at the bottom of my bed and flew into my hickory bedpost.
Oh,
I couldn't even open my eye. It was just terrible. So that's all I can think of is that I thought I was still in Vegas. So
oh,
what happened was then I wasn't allowed to blow my nose because I broke this bone that
oh
goes
my
up.
gosh,
So
Veronica.
everything went down my throat. So that's hence now I have this damn cough. So I go see him on Wednesday. So
Well, I believe it. And by the way, you look fantastic. I can't
well, thank you.
believe you had that happen 2 weeks ago. I would
Oh, I'll
not
tell you,
know.
arnica and I mean, you shouldn't, you could, I could not open my eye. My eye
Oh,
was and so closed. And what I panicked about, I'd had cataract surgery, so I wanted to make sure I hadn't broken the lens or anything. And my
sure.
eyes were fine. But between arnica and emu oil and this biafin, which I swear by, which is a French, a mol like a cream I get from France. I mean, I just kept packing that stuff on there and I do my ice and then you have to switch the heat and do all that. I mean, it's so yeah, it's pretty much all gone.
It's incredible, honestly. Had you not said that, I mean, even now you've said it, I still don't know. So, but
Oh,
that's
good,
just
good,
incredible. That's
good.
that's
Yeah,
amazing.
fantastic.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's take a completely different drive here and let's go back in your career. Let's go to Daniel Boone because I think a lot of my audience, which I should have in the intro mentioned Jemima from Daniel Boone, obviously, but you have so much. I'm sorry, I can only cover so much. But with Daniel Boone, first of all, how did you get the role in the first place? That's one thing when I was doing the research, I didn't hear anything about an audition or anything like that.
Well, I had auditioned for The Sound of Music for the part that Heather Menzies got. So I had auditioned for that several times. And
Interesting.
I did not get The Sound of Music. But when I left, the casting man, Michael MacLaine, he said to me, don't worry, I have you in mind for something.
Hmm.
And I was over in Austria with Angela because they worked it out with the teacher that I could go and do my classes there, and because they were going over for 3 months. So
Wow.
um, while I was over there, I get this call saying you need to come back and go to Kanab, Utah to play this part of Jemima Boone. And my dad came back with me, and those are the days when it wasn't a direct flight. You had to go to Iceland and stop over there. Ringo Starr was on my plane. Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
wow.
I was
Did you get to
beside
say hi?
myself. I did. I walked right up to him and said, "Hi." I mean, I was a huge Beatles fan,
Well, what
so
did he say? What the
well,
heck?
I
Tell me.
can't remember. I mean, it was like, well, hi. I mean, here we are in an airport port while they were putting more gas in the plane. It was I can remember he wore a lavender um shirt with pinstripes down the front. Isn't it bizarre? I mean, it was really great.
I bet it was.
And so then we ended up going to Kanab, Utah and doing the pilot there. I was 15 and a half, maybe.
Did
Yeah.
you know who Fess Parker was at the time or
Well, of course, we knew,
yeah.
Davy Crockett. We
Right.
all knew who he was. So, I mean, and I had watched Davy Crockett, those were when I was younger. I mean, those were
Hmm.
parts of your history. So I knew who he was. And it was just, I don't know, it was really pretty amazing. It was pretty great.
Yeah, that's a huge shift. What, by the way, before we get into it, what were you doing in Austria? Because obviously, so you weren't in the film, but what were you doing when they were shooting and stuff?
Well, I do my schoolwork like the others. You had to do 3 hours of schoolwork a day, and we had gone to back to my high school in Los Angeles, and then got all of our assignments, and so I did all of that, and we just sort of wander around. My dad and I we just go a little sightseeing, but they set up all sorts of wonderful sightseeing things for the kids. Like we went to the salt mines and things like that. And it was just fantastic. It was just great. But I wasn't there that long. So
Yeah.
because I had to go to Kanab, Utah.
Yeah, fly there. So
And,
what was the shoot like? I mean, first of all, what was Fess like? Do you remember the first time you met him?
oh, well, I mean, he was huge, I thought, oh my gosh. And he's just what a nice man. I mean, really a special, nice man. And it was just, I don't know, we all had our gear on and everything like that. And Darby Hinton, who I hang out with here, and we've done a lot of stuff. I mean, Darby's just a riot. He has like 5 kids of his own and big bushy beard, and he's
Oh yeah.
hysterical. And here he was, this little blonde thing, that was running around. But apparently there was another boy. There were supposed to be two boys, and the other boy just wasn't dynamic. I mean, Darby was just such a go-getter. He just
He
sort of
was
took
totally.
over.
I
I
bought him
mean,
100%.
oh, I can put that fire out, and they would think, oh, let's get that kid. We don't need the other kid. So, yeah, and Darby ended up being on it the whole time of the series. I only was on it for the first 2 seasons. And that
Yeah.
was a whole little controversy there. Because
Patricia
they
Blair,
started,
right?
huh?
Wasn't that the
Patricia
issue?
Blair. Yeah, well, she said she wouldn't sign her contract if I came back because they were giving me all these love interests, one being Fabian.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, that was, oh my God. He was about 11 years older than I was. I was
Wow.
like in shock. Um, and then they gave me a boyfriend. Robert Logan came in, and he was like the boyfriend. And she said no, it was making her look too old, and she refused to sign her contract. And we didn't know, we couldn't figure out what was going on. We kept calling over there and saying, well, where's the contract? And that's what it finally ended up being. So I only got to do it for 2 years.
How long did it take till you found out what the real reason was?
Um, my mother told me because the agency told her.
Uh,
But I was much older when I found out. I didn't find out. I couldn't figure out what I
oh,
had done wrong. And it was a terrible age to not be working, because I was what, 17? So I
17, yeah.
wasn't 18. I had to have a teacher on the set. You had to have your school hours. I wasn't old enough to become, like do older parts. And I wasn't young enough to be playing like 14-year-olds in
Yeah,
it.
that's a tough age
It was a
as an
horrible
actor.
age.
Yeah.
And I ran into Pat at the unemployment office.
Did you really?
I did.
Did you know at that
Well,
time?
I didn't know at that time that you just couldn't figure out. I didn't know why I had been let go.
Oh,
It was really hard. It was a terribly hard period. So we ended up getting a manager, and he told me I had to dye my hair, and then they sent me down to Saks Fifth Avenue and got me like big bras and all sorts of stuff. And oh my God, I remember going on a interview for Otto Preminger, and he, oh God, and he says to me, "What the hell have you done with your hair?" I mean, oh my God, all I was doing was following instructions of I was supposed to be the next Farrah Fawcett or something. I don't
yeah.
know. And oh my God, it was just mortifying. I thought, I can't do this. So I cut all my hair off.
Wow.
To hell with this. I'm not dealing with this. It was mortifying. I mean,
That's
it
really tough.
wasn't me. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And
By
to
the
have
way,
a big, producer, director like Otto Preminger say, "What the hell have you done with your hair?"
I mean, it doesn't get much
Oh my
bigger.
God, it was like high school or grade school when the nun made me stand up and said, "Look at Veronica. She dyes her hair." I thought, dying my hair, and I had to stand there, and all the kids had to look at me. It was
Oh
awful.
my
I went home
gosh.
and they go, "What are you combing in my hair?" The nun said that I'm dyeing my hair. I mean, oh, it's just awful, awful.
Wow.
There was
Wow.
this stuff called Light and Bright, and you just combed it in. It was like lemon, and you go stand in the sun for a bit, and it would give you some highlights. But oh my God,
Oh my gosh.
it was a
What?
big flashback.
So when you were on
Trauma,
this
trauma.
What, that was not my goal, by the way. But no, so when you were on Daniel Boone, what for you then? It was 2 seasons, so you still had a lot of, I'm sure you guys
Oh
shot
yeah,
quite a
because
few
those
episodes.
were when you did 24 a season.
Right, right. And so what were, for you, what were some of your favorite episodes or moments on the show?
Well, there was one episode called The Choosing, and this was the one where I was kidnapped by the Indians,
Oh,
and
wow.
then Fess and Mingo come and find me, and it was really they had written it for me. It was really a wonderful episode, very emotional, and I love that. And then oh God, I had the most fabulous leather jacket with fringe on. I just wish I had it now. Um,
That's
and
cool.
it was just, I don't know, it was a very emotional and wonderful episode. And I think it was one of the ones they put up like when they went for the Emmys and stuff like that. They put it up for Emmys.
Wow.
Um, but we didn't get anything. So, um, but I
Awesome
don't
to be
know. I
nominated.
mean, I just, that was the first ep thing where I had to have a boyfriend, and oh my God, the crew were so they were hysterical. So in comes Fabian, who had, knew from singing and stuff like
Oh, very famous.
that. And what was I? Oh God, I was like 16 and a half, maybe 17. Oh my God. And he gave me a French kiss. And I thought, oh my God, what is this? I had no idea.
Oh, geez.
I was sort of in shock, and he kept doing it. And they said, Fabian, you can't do this. This is a 7 o'clock at night show. You can't be sticking your tongue down her throat.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. I mean, it was, oh my God. Eventually, I guess he stopped, but they cut it out of the show. It was never in the show
Oh
because
my gosh.
it must have been too much for the audience. But I go to sit down in my chair. They'd weighted my bag with things, and they pulled my chair up into the ceiling. Oh, they were just awful. They were because they knew I was so embarrassed. It was hysterical. So for that whole show, they just did pranks on me. So I think he just did a couple of shows, and then they brought in Robert Logan.
Gotcha. Sounds
But
like a fun crew.
oh my God, this crew was insane. They were really great. They were really great. And the
Wow.
cameraman, I mean, I'm very fair skinned, so I had a lot of hair on my arms. And he used to come along and do this on my arms and for me. I said, that was too ridiculous. I don't know. They were just nutty people. It was really a great set.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, in the case of Fess, were you in touch with him until he passed?
Oh yeah, we went up to his we did a whole documentary on the making of Daniel Boone and everything, and he had that beautiful winery up
Oh,
in Santa Barbara. So we all went up, and he put us all up in this, we because it was part of the documentary, and he put us up in this lovely hotel that's up there. And
mhm.
then on Thursdays, every Thursday he used to go and sing, and
Wow.
the piano player would, and Marcy, his wife, they used to sing. So this time, of course, we were all there, and he had Ed Ames get up and sing,
Oh.
and then we all had to sing. Daniel Boone was a man. Well, of course, none of us could remember the words, so they had it written out on a piece of paper so that we could all sing it. I don't know. It was just they were great people. His whole family is just lovely. And I remember on the pilot, his son Eli, who is now runs the winery and everything, he was 5 at the time, but he would always come to dinner in a dress suit, and he would have little glasses of wine. He was given these little glasses of wine,
Oh my
and he
gosh.
was very large, of course, for his age. I mean, you didn't know he was 5, you'd think he was probably 8. Anyway, we went and saw the fireworks together at the rodeo thing that they had there. They had a big rodeo um, fenced in area, and they set off the most fantastic fireworks I have ever seen. I mean, ones I've never seen again. And he proposed to me and said that he wanted to marry me and gave me a little black plastic dog, which I still have.
Oh, that's cool that you still have it.
Yes, and he said, Here's my," and he gave it to me so that I would remember that we were going to get married. Isn't that darling? Oh,
Oh, that is so cute.
what a great memory. It was really fun. And but when we went up, Eli was off doing some trip and I didn't get to see him again. So, and he married somebody else. Terrible. He just forgot about me altogether.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh
And I
my gosh.
remember Fess saying that when he bought this place, he just bought it. There was an avocado orchard on it.
Hmm,
So he had no idea when he bought it that there was so he was classified as a farmer.
wow.
So, I mean, God, I tell you, I mean, he knew how to pick things. He was the one who started that whole Malibu trailer park.
Yeah, right, right.
I think that's the one that burned down, isn't it? Or
It
is it?
is. It is. I actually know someone that was in fact, I don't know if you know who Marta Kristen is.
Yeah, I do because I lost his face. She
Yeah,
lost two,
she
right?
well, that's what I figured because of Angela. Yeah, she lost her she lost that's where she was, and she lost her home, and her
And her
daughter actually was
daughter,
there too
what
and
lost
lost it.
hers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. What a small world. That is really
I
something.
know. I
It's a
know.
sad one though on that one. I know
Yeah.
Marta pretty well, and it was very yeah, I just felt terrible for her. So let's go back. Let's go back again.
Further?
Well, further?
Uh,
How far back
Good.
you going?
Make room for, no, what was it? Leave It to Beaver? Yeah, we have to talk
Yeah.
about Leave
Well,
It to Beaver.
you played what was it?
Violet
Violet Rutherford
Rutherford.
and Peggy, is it McIntosh? Like the is that
In those days, and I was a Beverly, I think they, in those days, if they liked you, they'd just bring you on. But then, because I played like different characters, but then when I had to be Violet and give Beavis first kiss, then they just had me as Violet. But up until then, I was different people.
What was your experience like on Leave It to Beaver? Because I've actually had Jerry on, and
Yeah.
Rich Carell has been on too, and
And they're going to, when is it? We're going to do a Leave It to Beaver reunion at the Hollywood show in
oh, good.
June. Yeah, so I guess he's got everybody that was on Leave It to Beaver that's still with
Oh,
us.
I love knowing that. That's great. I will definitely be there, and I will come say hi for sure. Um, so tell me, what was your experience like on Leave It to Beaver? What do you
Well,
recall?
I just thought Tony Dow was just darling. I mean, I had a big crush on Tony Dow, but I mean, what was I, 9,
Yeah.
10? But I did see one, somebody showed me one the other night that was on. And I was like older. I must have been 10 or 11, maybe.
Uh-huh.
I mean, 10 at least. I mean, I all of a sudden I wasn't a little girl. I was like older. And it was something to do. I punched him out or something because he didn't want to go to the dance with me. I mean, and it was terrible. She was a really bratty little girl, that
Is
Violet.
well, did you fi was it was it a fun set as a
Oh,
kid, or
it was a fun
what
set.
was the vibe?
Yeah, well, we all had to do our homework, and stuff like that. And we were all about the same age. So, yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was a job and you went and you did your lunch and you went back and did some more schoolwork. And I don't know, it was just crazy.
Was
Fun.
Jerry and the other kids, were they welcoming to you when
Oh,
we get back?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you just felt like you were part of the clan.
Oh,
So,
that's pretty cool.
yeah.
That is cool. What about Twilight Zone? I have to say you did which by the way, I wanted to watch it before I had you on just because which I will now for sure. But I seen the Body Electric, I think it's called.
Right, right. It was the
Yeah.
only one that Ray Bradbury had written.
Oh, wow.
And it was about the robotic grandmother. Our mother passes, and then you go and you buy a robotic grandmother and pick out the eyes and the hair, and you
Wow.
make Josephine Hutchinson.
Yeah,
And so she was the robot grandmother. And then, of course, I don't like her because she's replacing my mother.
right.
And I have this huge breakdown, and I go running out, and I'm about ready to get hit by a bus, and she jumps in front of the bus and saves my life. And so, yeah. Then, of course, I really like her.
Yeah. How did you what by the way, when you said about the eyes and all that, was there actually that, was
Oh
that
yeah,
really
they had
there?
a set and you picked out little eyeballs. They had a whole series of eyeballs there and all different wigs, so you could pick out the color of her hair. And yeah, they had it all set up like like a Friends or something like that of
Yeah, yeah.
different eyeballs and different ears and weird things. You just sort of went in and picked out what you wanted your grandmother to look like.
Had you been had you watched Twilight
Oh,
Zone?
of course I watched Twilight
Okay.
Zone.
So what was that like then? I mean, part of what I spotted is that you actually were able to see Rod Serling deliver his opening.
Oh, apparently he came in every week.
Wow.
He always came in and did them every week. So it wasn't like a series you go and you do a whole bunch of series.
Hmm.
No, every week he came in. And then you got to stand there and sit there and watch him do it. And he sat
Okay,
at a
what was that
stool and
like for
it
you?
was
Because
trippy, totally
yeah,
trippy.
come on.
It was
Did he have that
like
voice
behind this
too?
curtain thing. And so, and then do you want to see Rod? Sure, and you go and there'd be like this curtain that was like around him. And then I just stood there and watched him do it.
Did he have that voice in
Oh, he
person?
had that voice. He was smoking a cigarette, and on the stool. It was just, it was trippy. Yeah.
It had to be because, even, the fact that you had seen other episodes and now you're sitting there actually watching him and he really has that voice, that had to be creepy.
Yeah, but it was cool, I mean, it was really cool. I mean, that's sort of, he's like an icon,
Oh yeah.
and then that was the only one that Ray Bradbury did. Apparently got into a big fight with Rod Serling because it wasn't actually like his story. There had to be commercials, and he couldn't understand why they had to have commercials. He'd never done TV before.
Oh geez.
And Rod Serling was trying to explain to him, we have to have it, but this is cutting this part of my script out. And apparently he never did another one, and he just never talked to Rod Serling again.
Wow.
He was
Wow.
so pissed off that he felt like they were ruining his project.
Oh, how wild is
Isn't
that?
it wild?
That
Totally
is
wild.
crazy. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean they're all classics. All those Twilight Zones are just amazing. So the
Yeah.
other one is the Children's Hour. I saw
Um,
that, which I was fascinated by. First of all, your work in that is like exceptional. And then you've got what do you got? Katharine Hepburn, Shirley MacLaine. You've
no,
got
it's
William
no Audrey Hepburn,
Audrey. I'm sorry, Audrey Hepburn. My yeah, Audrey Hepburn. And then William Wyler directs it, right?
right? And it was James Garner's
Oh yeah,
first movie. And there
right.
was Faye Bainter who had been in the original version. This was his second version because when he did it before, it was called The Loudest Whisper. And it
Hmm.
was supposed to be that the Audrey Hepburn character fell in love and they might have slept together
Oh wow.
before she was, married.
Right.
But the original play was that this question of whether, Shirley MacLaine's character is gay or not.
Talk
So,
about ahead of its time, by the way.
well, yeah, but she wrote it years before that.
Wow.
And so Faye Bainter was in the original version, and she had played the Miriam Hopkins part,
Hmm.
and Miriam Hopkins had played one of the teacher's parts. So
Wow.
now here they were playing the aunt and the grandmother in the new version.
Wow.
So I always wanted to do Shirley MacLaine's part, and get everybody together again. And
Oh, how cool
or
would that have been?
it would have been, but he died. So
Yeah.
and who was I? I mean, to go and ask something like that. But it would have been really fun. It was incredible. I mean, Shirley MacLaine sort of became this mentor to me in a sense. I had to do a wardrobe thing on the first day, and those were always filmed. They did them in black and white, and they were
Hmm.
filmed.
Hmm.
And here was Shirley getting her wardrobe looked at, and she was on like a big drum, a pedestal sort of thing, so that she could turn around and they could see all the different sides of what the wardrobe looked like.
Yeah.
Well, of course, the crew was there and she was cracking up with the crew and telling jokes. And she was just, and later on, they told us we're not allowed to hang around Shirley because she uses bad language. But here I had, and I kept thinking, oh my God, how magnificent. Look at her, how she's talking to all of the crew and stuff. I
Wow.
thought that was fantastic. I mean, I thought, okay, that was really what you did.
Yeah.
And then when I had that big breakdown scene, um,
It's huge, by the way. If you wouldn't mind talking about how did you even get to that place? I mean, it's heavy.
Well, yes, it is. I mean, I don't even know if it was called acting at all anymore. I mean,
Mhm.
William Wyler had me, of course, I knew what the scene was, so we did it. And then we would do it again in rehearsal. And then he says, okay, we're going to film it now. So you automatically turned on a little bit more. Then he turned to the cameraman. He says, now turn it on. And I kind of flipped out. I kind of just had this emotional breakdown.
Oh my gosh.
And after the thing, Shirley McClain was hugging me. She says, honey, that was wonderful. And she says, and she got me a dressing room that was Faye Bainter's, because in those days they applied with dressing rooms on wheels for the sound stages.
Hmm.
And I went into Faye Bainter's room and she made sure I got ice. And my mother was 8.5 months pregnant, but our dressing rooms were up in another building. So they said if she'd have seen me, she'd have probably had my brother. Um,
Wow. Wow.
I mean, I was just gone. And I left going, I hate that man. I hate that man.
Boy, I mean,
But
you take it there. I mean, it's one of those where you take the whole scene. I mean, nobody is thinking of anything else in that moment. It's heavy.
well, my mother was we used to take like little drama classes and do plays and stuff with these two gentlemen, Frank Wycka and Bill Lockwood. Bill used to do the music, and we'd do these little musical things and
Hmm.
sing and have her singing lessons. And Frank had actually worked with me on the scenes and things like that just so that when I went into the set, I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the parents took their teachers out of the show because of what the subject matter was.
Hmm.
And my mom goes, oh, this is just like Frank and Bill, only two women. Well, I'd known Frank and Bill since I was like 6 years old. So it didn't even seem that anything could possibly be wrong. And
Hmm.
in a sense, I'm actually telling the lie
Wow.
because as far as I know, there is nothing wrong with them.
Hmm.
So I think that sort of added into it. I mean, oh my God, but that movie got me the birds.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, beautiful segue. About to ask you, how did you get the birds from that?
Well, Alfred Hitchcock had seen it and requested meeting me, so I met him in his cottage that he had up on Universal Studio. And his face is drawn on the side.
And you literally, it was just the two of you, like he
Yeah,
just sat
my
down and
mother
talked to you?
drove me there. She sat outside, and I went in and I just talked to him. And he told me about wines, and I was born in Bristol, England, and that's
Hmm.
where his wine cellar was, that he had his wine stored. And he started naming the names of wines, and I'm like 12, and I'm thinking, okay. I mean, it was just so bizarre. And how to cook a steak, because I'd need to know that when I got married. Because I would get married someday and need to know how to prepare a steak. I mean, oh my God, it was just a fascinating. And we talked, and the same thing happened when we were doing the movie. I could ask him anything. He was not intimidating at all.
Hmm.
I asked him questions. And when we were working on Universal Lot, I would have tea with him in the afternoon at 4:30, because you always broke at 4:30 for, biscuits and tea.
Wow.
And Peggy would come and I'd sit next to him, and then in between us was a table, and then Peggy would come with a china teapot and 2 cups of tea, and we'd sit there and we'd have tea and talk.
What would you talk about? Would you talk about the
I
movie or would
can't
you talk
even
about?
remember what we talked about.
Wow.
I mean, it was just we just talked. I mean, I don't know. He was lovely to me. I don't know
Mhm.
what he and Tippy were going on. I was 12, but I
Sure.
mean, but I just thought he was a lovely man. And then after we did the scene where the birds all come down the chimneys,
Yes.
it was like we were in a huge big bubble, and there were like 15,000 birds up in that chimney. There were thousands of them, this cram
You were in like literally like an enclosed
plastic
bubble?
bubble, like a cage. It covered the
Oh,
entire
that sounds petrifying. I'm sorry. These are real birds?
real birds, and they would pull these shafts, and so when birds coming out of the chimney, or where do they go? They all go up. So, and then they just kept pulling shafts out of the birds, and the birds would fly. But once they got up there, they realized they couldn't get out, so they just drop. Oh my God, it was the creepiest. It was totally creepy.
Wait, were
And
they falling like right on your head and
oh yeah,
everywhere?
they just drop and land on the ground, and and some would flutter around and wonder what the hell was going on. But Jessica trod on one, and then we learned we had to shuffle. We couldn't, pick your feet up, so we would like shuffle.
So it's
Oh,
very real.
it's
It's very
incredibly
real what's happening
emotional.
there.
I was just a basket case after that one. And that's the day they decided to throw me my 13th birthday party.
You're kidding. The day of that?
We had finished that scene, and the next thing I know, I mean, I was like a mess. And they took us to a different soundstage. The entire crew was there. And Tippy gave me some lovebirds, and Jesse gave me a sweater. Everybody was there, and this huge cake, that said "Happy Birthday, Veronica," 13 candles running the length of it. And then Alfred Hitchcock turns to Peggy, his assistant, and holds out his hand, and she hands him a piece of white board and a crayon, a black crayon, and he wrote, "To the woman I love, Veronica." And then he saw, drew his face and signed it. And when I got home, there was a gigantic vase of lilacs and white um, French tulips. I mean, it was just incredible. It was as big as I was. It was massive.
Wow.
He was like totally cool. I mean, I still have it. It's up on my wall here.
Oh
But
my gosh. I mean, come on, that's priceless. That,
yes, yes. And then
wow.
I've lent it to the Hollywood Museum when they were doing a birds thing and stuff like that. Yeah, it's
Oh
very
my.
cool.
So the actual filming of this thing then was it a bit terrifying of filming the
Well, we
birds?
shot it twice. I mean, we shot it all there in Bodega Bay and the schoolroom and all of that, and running down the hills. We shot all of that stuff.
You're really running down the hills too, right?
Oh, yeah, running down the hills. And then when we came back, he had had the entire tree and house moved to the lot, to a soundstage
Oh my
at
gosh.
Universal. This massive tree, and the house and everything, and
He
so
had
that
the tree moved.
moved, yeah. And they built the sand dunes. Everything was shot twice, and
Why?
because apparently it was to do with lighting for Tippy. And that Tippy told me, because I couldn't understand why the hell we would shoot everything twice. But
Yeah.
later, years later, she told me it was for her lighting. And if you look at the movie, I mean, she's always got this sort of glow around
Hmm.
her.
Hmm.
And poor Suzanne Pleshette was just very harsh. They shot her very harshly.
Wow.
And I remember Suzanne Pleshette one day donning a blonde wig and driving up and getting out of the car and going, "Do you think he'll notice me now?" I mean, it was hysterical. Oh my God. And now, of course, I didn't know what the whole beef was going on, but I mean, oh God.
Oh, that's
The
funny,
character
Veronica.
she was. Oh God. Great
Wow.
stories though. But I tell you, I mean, he was lovely to me. I have no qualms whatsoever.
Oh
And
my God, he sounds like he was incredible to you. You kidding
oh,
me?
and asking about we're out there, and there's birds on a jungle gym, and half of them aren't real. I mean, there are some cardboard birds up there and stuff like that.
Is that right?
Yes, and I said, well, won't people notice there's no birds? He says, your eye sees movement. You assume everything is alive. And it's true. You can watch it to this day. You look at it, you think you found a bird that's fake, and then all of a sudden it moves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite brilliant, all up on the lines, wires, and stuff like that. They had real birds up in there. And then another one when we're leaving the house and to go out to get into the car to drive away. Um, well, there's no door. And I said, well, there's no door here. And he goes, well, if there was a door, dear, I wouldn't be able to see you. So he goes, let's show her, Rod. So Rod Taylor bends down and mimes opening the door, and this shaft of light comes across like that, and all of a sudden it's lighter. You think there's a door there. You swear
Wow.
there's a door there. I mean,
Wow.
it's phenomenal. And then he says, and that is the magic of movies.
Oh, that's cool.
So, I mean, it's like all these wonderful anecdotes I have that and things that he said, and he was just nice as could be. He'd tell dirty jokes and I would be there, but I had no idea. And I go home and tell dirty jokes, and my aunt goes, don't you tell your mother that. Oh my gosh, where did you hear it? I said, oh, Alfred Hitchcock was telling the joke. It was terrible. Oh, he didn't care. He was just great. He was so always with the three-piece suit every day.
Wow.
And then they brought in a gigantic treadmill, this massive treadmill,
A
and
treadmill.
a treadmill for us to do like running down the hill so that he could get close-ups and stuff like that because they'd shot it running down the hill. And then this is in the studio, and then they had like all these puppets hanging, or not bird, it's like I don't know, they were birds on strings that
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that they could swoop down and look like they were coming at you.
Was that kind of creepy itself?
Oh,
You're on a treadmill
man,
and you
you
got
had to
birds
be up
flying at
front
you?
because if you were further back, you ran like a mother. You were just running like crazy. And of course, if you fell, everybody went because you wiped out whoever was behind you, and there was a gigantic mattress at the end. Oh my God, all these bodies of children. And then we get up and we come and we do it again, and you kept speeding it up.
Oh
I
my
think he was being a
gosh.
little sadistic. He kept speeding it up, and we were ready to go for the to save ourselves. I mean, oh my God, it was unbelievable. It was, I don't know.
And you would literally, if you fell, like,
You,
because you're running,
well,
it would
of course,
send you flying back
yeah,
into a
well,
mattress?
sure. And you would take all the other kids that were in your pathway
Oh
and
my
land on
God.
this gigantic mattress in the back.
You could really get hurt. I mean,
You
come on.
really could.
Wow. Wow.
But we all got back up and we all did it again. And then we realized you had to get in the front. So
Yeah.
everybody was fighting to be up front. So, because if you fell, then you wipe everybody else out. But
But they'd cushion your fall.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was,
jeez.
I don't know. It was pretty unusual.
Did you have any I mean, being around that many birds and in so many of those, and they're real and they're falling, all that. Did you have any, like, for lack of a better word, PTSD from that at all, being around birds?
No, I didn't really. And then, of course, Tibby gave me lovebirds. But um, one time, though, years later, I had wood shingles on my roof. And I had a huge eucalyptus tree outside of my house. And some blackbirds had built a nest up there.
Hmm.
And I hear this noise. I could like this tapping on the
Yeah, 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 yeah,
ceiling,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then this like whipping noise. And I thought, what the hell's going on? I go out, there must have been 20 birds up on
Oh,
my roof, pulling big hunks of wood off to make a nest.
oh, how
I mean, pull
creepy.
it, and I go away. I've done this movie. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't need this. He all looks at me like, well, you're crazy. And off they went again and running around on my roof. ridiculous. It really, that was creepy. I mean, that was like, I didn't know that you could get 20 birds sitting on somebody's roof. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the fact that you had been in the film, I'm sorry, that's a weird
It
coincidence.
was a very weird thing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
but
an odd one. Okay, so one other one. I mean, you have so many, I'll never be able to get into all of them, but which is fantastic, and that's a major compliment because you've been in so many incredible projects. But what about Spencer's Mountain, which I understand was the prelude or the precursor to
Waltons.
Walton's? Yeah, Henry Fonda, James MacArthur, Maureen O'Hara. I mean, what was that like?
Well, I got that as a result of the birds. So
Really?
I never interviewed for it. I just got it that I remember interviewing
How
for it
interesting from the birds.
from
Huh.
the birds. And then they just took me straight over. And I was working in Wyoming. We were in Jacksonville, Wyoming.
Oh, wow, beautiful.
And that's where we shot it. And so all of a sudden, that's where I am, you know?
And how was it shooting with Henry Fonda? I mean, obviously you're with, if there is an icon, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he didn't talk to us much. I mean, he just sort of, he had his own thing. All of a sudden, here he is stuck with, what, 7 kids or something.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Maureen O'Hara was a little more game, but Henry Fonda didn't seem to be that game about it. And of course, James MacArthur, and then I witnessed them kissing, and they're all tangled together like two fishing works. Um, and then I had to do a bath scene with the boys, What was I? I was 13, and oh my God, that was a little mortifying. So they gave me a little bikini that I had to put on, and so
Oh,
make sure that I stayed lower enough that they wouldn't see it. That I was in the bath with 2 9-year-olds, 8-year-olds. I don't know what they were.
that
So
is pretty wild.
I don't know. I was game for anything.
Now, am I right? And if I'm wrong on this, catch me. Was Kim Karath in that too?
Yes, she was.
Now,
She
wasn't
was.
she also in Sound of Music?
Yes, she was in Sound of Music.
Okay, that's a weird tie in there too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it all comes around, doesn't it? It's very strange.
Yeah, that is very strange. And so you had known her obviously before that.
Well, yeah, but she was 4. I mean, I'm
Right, right,
interested in a 4-year-old,
right. She was tiny. Yeah, yeah.
15.
Wow. What about James MacArthur, by the way? He's an interesting one. I mean, I had his uh geez. I had his first wife. I think it was his first wife on it at the time, but she was telling me about like Swiss Family Robinson and all that. What was he like shooting on this film? Because I always thought he was a great actor.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was nice. I mean, I don't know. I just don't remember much about him. I mean, he was in the scenes and you did the scenes.
Yeah.
There was I do remember with Cobb, what was his name? Uh
Wait, Lee J. Cobb?
Lee J. Cobb.
Yeah.
Was it Lee J. Cobb that was in that movie? No, no. Older gentleman that played
Um,
the grandfather. Maybe it was
my
Lee J.
brain, I'm trying
Cobb.
to think.
I think maybe it was Lee J. Cobb.
Okay.
And I remember him being very nice, but he was getting so hot out there because we were sitting in, it was supposed to be, I guess, somebody's graduation.
Oh,
And we were, oh my
like
God.
all in formal wear,
Yeah,
so to speak.
everybody's, there and dressed up. And I think James MacArthur's graduating from something. I can't
Hmm.
remember what. And we were all there, but boy, I remember him. He was the nicest man, but he kept going, I can't, and he had a black suit on. And he
Oh
goes, oh,
God.
I'm so hot.
Oh God.
Poor thing. I remember him just sitting there and he wasn't like complaining a lot, but it was like, he, poor thing. I mean, he was there in the sun.
Oh yeah, when you're about to pass out. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, let me ask you about Invasion of the Body Snatchers because I got to be honest, that's up there with one of my favorites. I've always loved that film and especially considering it's a remake in essence, it's got to be one of the best.
well,
What
I think Phil sort of treated it like it was a continuation.
ah
Because then you had Kevin McCarthy running through going, they're coming, and then he
yeah,
gets
yeah.
hit by the car and stuff. So it was never like considered to be like a remake. He always thought of it as a continuation.
Well, maybe that's why. I mean, I loved it. I thought it was so
Yeah.
great. I mean, what a cast too. You got Donald Sutherland, you got Leonard Nimoy. I think Jeff Goldblum's in there.
And Brooke Adams. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were the fantastic quadruple there. I mean, Donald Sutherland was just he was just a character and a half. I remember he and the first time that we met him, he took Brooke and myself out. He was taking his ladies out, and we went to the top of the Mark, and he ordered a bottle of Cristal champagne. He says, only the best, only the best. And they came back and they said, I'm so sorry, sir, but we don't have any Cristal. Would there be something else? Donald goes, no, thank you very much. Come, ladies. He stood up and we walked out. Oh, and then we went someplace else. I think we must have had Cristal there, because he ended up staying there. So that wherever we went the next time, I mean, they had Cristal. But it was just so funny. And then
Wow.
he decided that his character would have to have curly hair. So he didn't want to get a perm because he'd had one once before and it ruined his hair. So he had the poor hairdresser putting him in permanent rods
Oh
every
my
morning
gosh.
and at lunch. She had to do it. So all of our rehearsals would be with Donald with pink permanent rods in his hair. Here we are, we're doing all this serious stuff, and here's Donald with his pink permanent rods in his hair.
Oh,
It was
funny.
hysterical. He was just so quirky and just he was just delightful. Just he was lovely. And
Wow.
uh and then about 3 weeks before the movie ended, he says, oh, go ahead, just perm it. Because he just couldn't stand having those rods twice a day,
Oh,
those
that's just too
rods
much.
for months.
Wow.
Hysterical. And then
Wow.
he gave us all wonderful. We had one night where we're all supposed to be acting like pods, that scene where we're going and they're
Mhm.
sending us off. And he got us each um, therm little thermoses, and it had Invasion of the Body Snatchers on it, and he filled it with brandy because he knew we had to stay warm.
Oh, is that classy? I love
Total class, total class. And I used to take it riding with me because ever since I'd been on the Galway Blazers, I mean, you had to have your flask with you. So I'd stick it in my back pocket. One day my horse trod on it, but it still functions, but it's got a big
big
dent
hoof print in it. Yeah.
in it. But
Wow.
oh, he was just a delight. That was a fun set. I mean, I love Phil. He's just the best. I mean, he's really a wonderful, wonderful director. And no ego, you know?
Mhm.
It's like you can make suggestions and he goes, well, let's give it a try, see if that works. It's not
I
like,
love
no,
that.
this is how it is. Um, because I was having real problems with the scene, about the monkeys and the apes and why did they come here and can't they? I said, because we kept rehearsing it, Donald and his pink rollers, and it just wasn't getting there. And so I said to Phil, can we just try something? I feel in order to be able to get to that peak, I need somebody cutting me off, coming in with
Mhm.
another
Mhm.
idea so that I'm talking above them. So I just talked to Brooke and to Jeff and I said, well, can we just try it and see if it works? Well, it worked. And Phil goes, that's great, because we've been working on it for hours. And it was
Wow.
just hard getting where it needed to go.
Mhm.
So Phil's great. He's just fantastic to work with.
Jeff Goldblum, I mean, look, they're two different actors, Donald Sutherland and Jeff Goldblum, but they both have that quirky quality about them. Was Goldblum like that at that time too?
Oh, yes, yes, he was. As a matter of fact, we would do when we had to do the scene where we have to come down the spa and open up and the curtains fly up and I've told him that the thing is there. He we got known as the dancing Belichicks because we would run off and then we would run back and we were like flying through. It was just it's so ridiculous. Oh my God, he's such a nut job. Um, Oh God, and he was married at the time, and he came and he said he had a big argument, and what can I give her? What can I give her? What color roses? I said, well, why don't you give her yellow roses would be nice. I don't know. I wouldn't know what the hell yellow roses meant, but I thought, those would be nice. And so he went out and got her a big bunch of yellow roses, and he bought her some soap and stuff like that. And I guess
Oh
they
my
calmed down
gosh.
after that. I mean, but what do I do? What do I do? Everything's up here. And then of course, then he wasn't eating meat when we did that show.
Oh wow.
But later on, I ran into him at the hot dog place, and I went, and he goes, "People change." Oh, okay. Oh God, he's just so quirky, so wacky. I don't know. He's lovely.
What
Uh,
what what about Leonard Nimoy?
there wasn't that much that we worked with Leonard in, so it was sort of hard. I mean, he was just always a lovely gentleman. I mean, didn't cause any problems, but
Yeah, he
there
seems
weren't
like
that
he'd be a
many
total
scenes.
pro.
Yes, total pro. That was, yeah.
Wow.
What a, I remember when, because we were now all these pods, and we got into a taxi cab. Brooke and Jeff and I were going to go out to dinner, and we're in this taxi cab. Of course, Jeff has to engage with anybody he's sitting with. So he goes says hi to the cab driver, and he starts talking, and nothing from the cab driver. I mean, nothing, just ignored. And by the time we got to where we're going, Jeff is going, "Oh my God, he's a pod. He's a pod." But we got out of that cab. I mean, he was like, he was a pod. He was a total pod. Because the thing is, you sort of go into that gray state where you don't have any feelings or any emotions. There,
Right.
there was this cab driver. He would not engage at all. So
Oh,
we all were like, got
funny.
out of that cab, like it was so creepy. And then you found yourself like you go to the bank, or you go, "Oh my, oh, that person's a pod." I mean, it's like you found all these people that were sort of just wandering around, emotionless or whatever it is. And
Oh my gosh.
I don't know that I thought that movie was really great.
Oh, I love that movie. I totally enjoyed it. The other one, by the way, from a cast standpoint, I mean, well, it's a good movie too, by the way. I'm not saying it's not a good movie. It's an amazing cast. Is Going South. I think that is a very underrated movie. I mean, Jack Nicholson is in that, but he also directs it, right?
Directed it, yeah.
Yeah. And you,
And it was Mary Steenburgen's first movie.
oh,
He'd
yeah, right.
never done any movies before, but it was all his cuckoo nest.
Yeah, Danny
And
DeVito,
Danny
Christopher Lloyd.
DeVito and Christopher Lloyd. And that was John Belushi's first movie.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. That's
Yeah,
right. Belushi's in that.
yeah.
Wow.
And I remember I had done in England a movie called Inserts with Richard Dreyfuss
Hmm.
and Jessica Harper and Bob Hoskins' first
Oh
movie
wow.
he had
Wow.
done.
Great actor.
And it was X-rated. It was about a porno, a director who has now resorted to doing porno films because he doesn't want to he doesn't want to go with the system.
Hmm.
And wonderful movie. I just was so happy to be able to do it.
Oh, sure.
Anyway, I'm requested to go in and meet Jack Nicholson for this movie that he's doing. And it was over at Paramount Studios. And at Paramount Studios, they have these very long, thin corridors. So it's basically two people. It'd be a little uncomfortable to walk down.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he had his office there. So he comes out, he's got his jean jacket on, and he comes out and he goes, "Hi, I'm Jack." Like, no shit. Um, Hi. So he goes, come with me into my office. I'm thinking you've heard all these stories and you think, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?" So as I'm walking down the hall, he goes, "I loved you in inserts." At which point I turned vermilion and he goes, "I love a woman who blushes." I thought, oh my God, it was
Oh my
just so, I just
God.
wanted to die and crawl into a hole. But anyway, I went into the office and we just talked, and he was just fabulous. And by the time I left, he put my picture on the wall and he said, "You're a member of my gang." And so I
Wow.
called my agent when I left and I said, "I think I've got it. I'm a member of his gang." And there I am with Belushi and Danny DeVito and everybody on the wall.
Wow.
And he says, "Oh, don't believe anything you hear." So I'll be damned. About 3 months later, 2 months later, got a call and that I was going to go to Durango, Mexico to do um, Going South. It was great. It was
That's
just
wild. What?
totally
So
wonderful.
It's so funny. I actually forgot about obviously that Belushi was in that. So where was he at, like kind of as a person and everything at that point in his
Oh,
career? Because
John
that's
was
before he took
fabulous.
off.
He was just fabulous person. He was just great. It was so sad. And we got along really, really well. I just thoroughly enjoyed him. He was totally nuts, but he was just, I don't know, he was just great. And he couldn't understand. He kept saying, I don't understand. Because his next movie, they were going to pay him $1 million to be in.
Wow.
And he said, I'm just a big fat slob. I don't see what people see in me.
Oh
I
my
don't
gosh.
get it. He just did not have any self-esteem whatsoever, which
Oh,
was so sad. And he had gotten to a big argument with one of the producers. And so it was actually, and Angelica had come down and we ended up calming him down. And finally, we just said, okay, we're going to take you back to the hotel. And who shows up but the producer that he was having it and started all over again. It was just, oh, it's awful. But he was just John. I mean, I had lunch with John 3 days before he died.
three
Uh,
days.
yeah, I had gone to, he was so excited because he had an office at Paramount Studios that he wanted me to see. And I met him at Lucy's El Adobe, which used to be, the inn spot.
Hmm.
And I was sitting there and I'd been there like an hour and I called Judy and I go, what's going on? She goes, oh, stay there, stay there. He really wants to come. So had been sober and straight for 3 weeks. And I guess the night before he had gone on a bender.
Hmm.
So that's why he was late. But I mean, then he was just John, and we just sat and talked, and we went across to Paramount Studios so he could show me his office, which was stunning office with, windows, and he was just thrilled to death and so excited.
Yeah.
And it was good that I had gotten to see him because I had to go to do the right stuff. I was going up to find an apartment because we were all going up there for 3 or 4 months. So I thought, well, better get an apartment rather than staying in a hotel.
Yeah.
So I left the next day to go, what was it, or 2 days later, I guess it was, to go up and as I got in the elevator, the girl says, isn't it sad about John Belushi? I said, what? She goes, oh, he OD'd last night.
Oh,
And it was literally 3 days later. I mean, it was just so sad. It was, I
wow.
don't, but it did some good. It got Robin Williams and De Niro and all those people to straighten up too. So, I mean, he had a purpose, I guess.
Yeah, that's wild. That I mean that and I'm sure you've been asked this, but did you even have any sense like, yeah, he might have been a bender, but did you have any sense like, oh boy, he's about to go off the deep end?
No, no, I didn't. I mean, because he was always telling me, I'm going to straighten, and as long as he was with Judy, his wife,
That's what I've
he
heard.
would stay straight. I mean, he
Hmm.
really, she was like his grounding. But the minute she would leave, or he would sort
Yeah.
of get excessive. But he was John. He was great.
It's yeah, there's part of the yeah, I guess part of that magic, yeah, which is scary. What Christopher Lloyd was on that as well. It's so funny. You have worked with some people that Donald Sutherland, Jeff Goldblum, Christopher Lloyd. You just picture them on a different like level of reality. You know what I'm talking about? What was Christopher Lloyd in that genre too, sort
Oh
of thing?
God, yeah. I mean, Chris was great. And it's funny because one of my best friends is his ex-wife. And I've done 3 jobs with Chris. I
Oh
mean, I
wow.
did that and I did, what was it? Something or other highway, where he was like the man that walked through these 3 different segments. It was Chomping Teeth. It was, what
Oh
was it?
wow.
Garrett that did, who does all of the Christopher Lloyd stuff. And I mean, the uh, King stuff. Uh,
Okay.
and so I worked with him on that, and then I did a little movie that Richard Gabby got together, and I worked with him on that. And plus, I would keep running into him. I mean, we just, I don't know, between because Kay Tornborg, who was his wife at the time, We just hit it off. She just loved going to antique places and stuff like that. And we were in Durango, Mexico, and she could squirrel out the most amazing things.
Wow.
Um, and he was just, I mean, she was doing a play at the time or something at the time. And so I go to movies with, we went and saw Kurosawa's,
Oh,
movie and Dodeska Dan. And we'd
mhm.
come back and we'd pick up Kay and I don't know. He's just like a charming, he's just great. He's just a great guy.
Is he as kind of he always comes
You think
across
of
as
him
another
as
one.
being like wacky, but he's not. But you can see how he could get, go there as a character, but he's not like that at
He's
all.
more subdued.
Apparently, when he auditioned for Taxi, he said he went in and he jumped on the table and did his thing from there. That scared the producer or whatever it was out of his mind.
I love that. I
Oh,
love
I
that.
said, "Oh my God, how did you get the ball?" He said, "I don't know. I just felt like doing it." I mean, he's just like Mr. Casual. Um, I don't know. He's a terrific person.
Yeah, that's
Even
pretty
though they're
cool.
divorced, I mean, Kay is still one of my dear, dear friends. And so,
Oh, that's pretty
and
cool.
then every time I run into him at conventions and stuff like that, signings, and he'll say, "How's Kay doing?" I mean, it's cute and sweet.
Oh my gosh. Well,
So,
I'll tell you what, the last one I'd love to ask you about is the Witches of Eastwick, because I know I'm gonna have people say, why did you not ask her about that movie? Although we could say that about the right stuff too, but the
oh my
Witches of
God.
Eastwick, you come back with Nicholson. I think that's why I'm curious about it. What was that reunion like for you?
Um, Well, it was terrific. I had no idea that Jack thought of my character, Felicia, as being the fourth witch, because
Oh,
she was the one that he knows that he's the devil. And what I'm trying to do is warn these women that this
mhm.
man is trying to, sort of take them over.
Yeah.
So I did not know, but I got this audition and they flew me into um, Boston to to an audition. And of course, the two scenes that I had to audition were the snowy egret scene and the throwing up scene.
Oh, geez. Oh,
So
geez.
so I said to them, and it was Richard Jenkins that I got to read with.
Oh,
And
great
of
actor.
course, I'm sitting in my hotel, and then you go over to this other hotel, and they put you in a room so you could get prepared and stuff. And right before my interview, I get this phone call saying, would you mind holding off for another half an hour? Oh my God, it's like agony, thinking you're supposed
Oh,
to,
yeah.
what was I going to do? So then they saw somebody else. So here I go in and I meet them and I said, well, how far would you want me to go on this scene? He goes, oh, we'd like to see it. And I said, okay.
Wow.
So I did, and I was like retching and all of this stuff. Anyway, I left, and then I go back to California. And Richard Jenkins said, when you came in, everybody else said, oh, well, when it gets to the part, I'll do that. No, you just did it. You left, and we both go, oh my God.
Wow. Wow.
So I guess that's what got me the part, but I did not realize until after I got it and I was signing my contract and George came in and George said, you have such a fan in Jack Nicholson. He was the one who suggested we meet you. I mean, all these women, Colleen Dewhurst and all of these people had auditioned for this
Wow.
part. And he just felt that she should be the fourth witch, which is what I played, not this old biddy person. And it
Hmm.
just made it much more interesting, I think. And that's why I mean, those parts don't come along very often where you just get to go ballistic. I mean, growling
No.
and carrying on and lifting up your skirt and doing all these wacky things. It was a wonderful experience. And Jack is he's just a dear person. And then
Oh,
I did another movie with him called Man Trouble, which we can all forget about. But I mean, I still stay in touch with Jack. He's just one of those people you just do. So,
well, he went to bat for you. I mean, you're not
yes,
going to
and I
get it
did
any
not
better than
know that.
that.
And then when I got to the hotel room, there was this basket of flowers, and he wrote, "Let's give him hell."
Oh gosh.
And I had it in my wallet for years, and then somebody stole my wallet, which was a drag. Because let's give him hell, Jack.
Oh, I love
Because I
it.
don't have that many scenes with him. I mean, one where he's snoring, in the back of the room, and a couple. But um, I went down to the set one day and visited, and that was nice. And he's a character. I mean, he does off camera. He didn't even have to be there that day, but he gets dressed in his wardrobe, and he does everything for off camera that you could possibly imagine. I
I
mean,
love it.
it's just he's a total pro. He's just loves what he does, and you know, he's just a great human being. So
Well, I'll tell you, in all the interviews I've done, one thing I've taken away is the ones that are truly the pros, like, Angela Lansbury, people like this. They are those people like you just described. They show up anyway because you've got two lines and you need to talk to somebody and it's my character and they're there. And that
right,
that says so much. That's great.
right, yeah, he does. I mean, even when we did Man Trouble, and he's supposed to be in the audience, and we're singing, and he's
Yeah.
wearing his Hawaiian shirt like his character wears. I
Wow.
mean, he's just fabulous. And then he took us all to the, what is that? It's the big old cable cars that used to be down there in downtown LA because they had to do a big set thing. And so he took a whole bunch of us down there. Ellen Barkin was in the movie and he just, all right, let's go. And off we went. And there he is in his Hawaiian shirt. That was his character. So,
Wow. Wow.
he's just great. I mean,
That's just class. That's total class. I love
and
it.
I think I do some of my best work off camera. I always go, oh shit, I should have thought of that when I was doing it.
Did
But
you did you get along with the other women? I mean, obviously you're dealing with a lot of big people. I mean, Cher, Susan Sarandon, Michelle Pfeiffer.
yeah, yeah, I mean, but I didn't have that much to do with them either,
Yeah.
with a few scenes. I mean, the one scene when I break my leg and I'm at the bottom of the floor, I'm down there and this camera is literally passing over the top of me so that it can make a big crane shot and go up to them at the top of the stairs. And I'm lying there while they're setting everything up. And I guess Cher goes, is that all you're going to do? And Susan Sarandon says, well, for heaven's sakes, they're just, when it shoots, she'll say, she'll be, in it. I mean, it was like hysterical. What can I do? I'm, saying my lines, but just so that they can get the stuff. Is that all you're going to?
Oh my gosh.
But at the end of the movie, Cher says, okay, I'm going to go see Kamer, who is her plastic surgeon that she was. Does anybody need anything done? And,
Oh.
and I said, well, my neck had always bothered. I said, well, I could do that. And Susan goes, yeah, I could have my eyes fixed. So the three of us went off to Kamer.
Oh, funny. I
So
mean, seriously.
I know. So what can I say?
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, you have been so wonderful, Veronica. Like I said, I could talk to you for about 4 hours about your career, but
Well, it's
it's
already been 1 o'clock.
I know, yeah, but you've just been terrific. I,
But
I
is this
appreciate
all
you.
on, or do you do all of this? No, you have to cut it.
No, you know what I'll do, which I do often, is I actually do it in two episodes because
Oh,
people just love it,
oh,
and
all right.
I mean, I love it, so it's not like it's any issue there. But anyway, no, thank you. I really sincerely, I appreciate you very much, and I'll be in touch. I'll let you know as soon as I do release this as
Okay.
well. Yeah.
Oh,
So
all right.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being
Well,
on.
thanks. It was a lot of fun.
Oh,
And
heck yeah.
I've done these before, but nobody's ever covered everything quite quite as intensely.
Well,
So,
I appreciate that. That means a lot to
oh,
me. Thank you.
okay. So thanks very much, and let me know when it's going to be on.
I will, without
Okay.
a doubt. See ya.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed the interview. Please don't forget to hit the subscription button and also hit the notification bell right after that so that you get notified whenever I have a new episode. And be sure to check out some of my other interviews Henry Winkler, Jerry Mathers, Angela Cartwright, Shelley Fabre. It goes on and on. They're so great. Enjoy.